Many anime studios have this amazing ability to take a perfectly good story and just start ruining it. Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood is regarded as one of the greatest anime of all time, but we all know Brotherhood almost didn't happen due to studio interference. Tokyo Ghoul, Soul Eater, Claymore, these are but a few examples of IP who were butchered from the same studio interference. But instead of running it back like Brotherhood did to the original and adapting the source material one-to-one, they have remained broken for over 5 years. Why? These are some of the best manga ever written. You'll be lucky as a studio to have one or even two of these franchises in your back pocket. Yet, as of the making of this video, they have received some of the worst anime adaptations of all time. I'm talking about entire arcs being removed, endings being rewritten, pacing so horrible it puts you to sleep. I know people have renamed rebooting an anime as the Brotherhood treatment, but I think people forgotten the sole reason why Brotherhood was made was that the manga was ending around the same time. It was not the fact that the studio wanted to do it justice and making an anime that's adapting the source material. It was the fact that they wanted to capitalize on the manga that was ending around the same time. But again, seeing the success of these outliers like a Brotherhood, like a Fruits Basket, Shaman King, and Hunter x Hunter, and many other successful adapted shows that are beloved now, that if a studio adapts the writer's original vision one-to-one, it can lead to a much more successful show and might make you a little more money down the line. That's why in today's video, I want to talk about the top 5 anime that deserves a reboot. Subscribe, like, support small creators like me, and fuck Jack. The first anime that deserves a reboot has got to be Soul Eater. Soul Eater just looks like one of those anime that if it only was released a few years earlier, it would have been a hit. A series about monsters, witches, students turning into living weapons, and the other that wields them, especially in this economy, it would have been better than Rent a Girlfriend. It's one of those anime that it feels like it should be way bigger than it actually was. And then you actually watch it and realize half the manga wasn't even adapted. The anime had a total of 51 total episodes, which only adapted 37 chapters of the 113 in the manga. This is because starting from episode 36 to 51, the series went on an entirely different direction from the original series. Because instead of adapting its source material, the series ended up with an anime original ending far different from its source material. This might shock you because it shocked me, but Soul Eater episode 1 to 35 only adapted 30% of the manga. 30%. When I was researching, I had to double check that number again and again. You know, Soul Eater, even though it only adapted 30% of the anime, is still considered as a great anime, only ruined by its studio interference. But by now, I'm sure you're all wondering why. Why did the studio decided to ruin this entire anime? Because the series was widely successful from the very start. It's widely considered a classic anime for its unique cast and balanced mix of dark fantasy and action. It even propelled the manga to hit nearly 20 million copies worldwide. So what reason could they have on not adapting the entire manga and settling with an anime original ending? Well, we're actually gonna run into this problem very frequently. That's why I'm gonna put it in this, this part of the video, especially for the anime that came out back then. But we all know that anime comes out while the manga is still ongoing. It's very rare for a studio to adapt something that's already finished. For example, just by looking at Winter 2026, there's at least 15 series whose source material is still currently ongoing. Soul Eater was one of those anime. But instead of this series being seasonal, like how all anime should be, they made Soul Eater the anime weekly, which was the blueprint in the 2000s. Like I said before, the best example for this is 2003's Fullmetal Alchemist. The original anime came out while the manga was still being made, but the studio for Fullmetal Alchemist, Studio Bones, decided the anime should be weekly. Now around that time, Fullmetal Alchemist only had 25 total chapters. Now doing simple maths, a new chapter of the manga comes out monthly, and a new episode for the anime comes out weekly. So from the get-go, they knew from the very start that they were gonna run out things to adapt. So instead of halting production for the next season which wasn't prominent back then. The studio and the author agreed for both of these series to have their own original content and their own original ending. If you're thinking about it back then, before streaming, you're thinking about TV spots, commercial, keeping your sponsors happy, so you kind of understand where they were going for. They were put in a very difficult situation because, of course, you want to satisfy fans, you want to satisfy your, of course, the company. So, of course, hey, let me just splash, this anime original ending. Everyone's happy, I hope. Soul Eater's manga ended in July of 2013. Episode 36 was the last canon part of the entire series, and that was released in December of 2008, 4 years after the anime finished. If only Soul Eater was released today with its world, art style, and unique tones, especially in this economy, it would have been a hit. But if you're wondering if the anime ended in a good and satisfying way, well, it didn't. The ending felt rushed and cheesy, and there were clear signs that it was going on a much more different direction from the original tone of the show. But let's get conspiratorial. Here's something interesting. The studios who made the 2003 Fullmetal Alchemist are the same people who fucked up Soul Eater in 2008. Now, Soul Eater, the anime, ended with an anime original ending in 2009. Exactly 6 days later, Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood comes out, right after Soul Eater finished with a really bad anime original ending. And looking at it now, Brotherhood is regarded as one of the greatest anime of all time, thanks to a variety of different things. But my favorite one is that Soul Eater had to pay and had to be sacrificed to the demons of Babylon for us to get Brotherhood. Equivalent exchange. Next up is the anime Claymore. Just when the manga was introducing world-building plots, the anime decided to go in an entirely different direction, far different from its source material. The anime only adapted 60 chapters of the 155 total in the manga. The anime had 26 episodes, so 26 episodes, 60 chapters, that's kinda okay. Until the last 2 episodes. Episode 25 and 26 had the impossible task to end a 150 chapter manga into 2 measly episodes. But here's the crazy part. Claymore had everything modern anime fans love. Dark fantasy, medieval-like adventure, all-time female-led cast, monsters who look like Elden Ring bosses. It's set in a fantasy world where the world was overrun by demons, and to combat this, a mysterious organization experimented on humans to make half-human, half-demon-like hybrids called Claymore. The anime was well praised for its fantasy and medieval-like vibe, with many people comparing it to Berserk and Game of Thrones. Just imagine this releasing today, especially in this economy of, unserious fantasy-like adventure, people like Frieren, female-led cast, serious adventure, there's no goofiness, there's no Konosuba, nothing wrong with Konosuba, but this is serious stuff, serious fantasy-like adventure. That's basically Claymore. Just thinking how close we were for it being a seasonal anime. The last 2 episodes had the chance to just end it off right there. I guess they wanted to end it right there, with 2 episodes. Damn. But maybe this is a sign of good luck. I know I said I'm not a fan of female-led animes. I get it. I'm not sexist, I'm just saying. But if Claymore ever gets a reboot, it would do numbers in this economy. I swear on 100% on Jack Matthew Rosales' life. Google him, he's not real. And to think, I've been hearing news that Hollywood is trying to make a live-action Claymore. Just absolutely baffles me, okay? Just give us a reboot. Fuck a live-action. You do that later. Not everything can be One Piece live-action, okay? Maybe you'll get an M. Night Shyamalan Avatar, okay? Which I do not want that. I do not want for Claymore. Please, I don't want that for Claymore. The third one on this list is Akame Ga Kill. It had the same issue as the one before. The anime caught up to the manga and then rewrote its own ending. It had an alternative ending and a rushed final arc, which very much killed the show on that point. Technically, the concept stays the same. The anime, notorious for everyone dying, stay true to their word. Everyone does die, but not everyone. In the manga, their characters are explored much further on during the series, and their deaths hold a lot more meaning than in the last few episodes where everyone just dies just because. The manga builds upon those deaths. There's a setup, there's a pay payoff and there's emotional weight in those deaths. And I know people in the comments are probably gonna write a 20, 30-page essay in the comments like, oh, of course, that's the point. It's supposed to be shocking in the anime, of course. First of all, I would never read that, so I would have never known your point, okay? But, like, if everything is shocking, oh my god, this fucking... Who is drilling at 9 a.m. in the morning? Why? Why? Who does that? If it's supposed to be shocking, if everything is supposed to be shocking, then nothing is, okay? Nothing is gonna be shocking. The anime rushes these important scenes, these important character moments, so when, eventually, if they die, which isn't a spoiler because Akame Ga Kill is literally known for everyone dying, so don't cry about it being a spoiler. But the anime skipped all of this build-up and just skipped into to the conclusion, okay? Wave is one of my favorite characters in the show because of how he parallels the main character. I love it when shows show both sides of the story, two different perspectives to how they view each other. The enemy, the hero, which one it really is based on your perspective. I loved it in Attack on Titan and I loved it for Sonic Adventures 2. This anime could have really worked if only it was given the time to actually flesh things out. But instead we get 3 episodes of a highlight reel of just pure death galore, which again could have been fixed, in the source material. Alright, now we'll get into the big ones. Tokyo Ghoul should have been the same conversation as Attack on Titan, Steins Gate, and Brotherhood, which all released around the same time. Season 1 of Tokyo Ghoul was a masterpiece of a show. Follow that up with an amazing opening, then you literally have the blueprint of a great anime. Then Season 2 happens and the studio in charge of it realized, oh shit, let's make an entire season of absolute filler garbage galore Jack Matthew Rosales. Guys, we have never seen this before, okay? A seasonal anime that has an entire season worth of filler. Why? Who approved of this? Like, I need names. Like, is it Jack Matthew Rosales? Is it Peter Pan Lives? Or is it Sujal Gurong? It's a seasonal anime. Why couldn't you just wait until the manga was until you can adapt it again? Why? The story of Kaneki is supposed to be a psychological tragedy. A quiet college student becomes a half-ghoul after a serious accident and now he's forced to live between two worlds. Humans who fear ghouls and ghouls who survive by eating humans. The manga focused heavily on Kaneki's mental collapse, his identity crisis, and his gradual transformation into realizing the need for survival as a ghoul. The anime kinda removes a lot of that. Again, you can say a lot of things about season 1 and the rest of the seasons after, but for the curious case of Tokyo Ghoul, I did not understand making an entire season, entire season of filler. I do not understand that. It was basically a Make-A-Wish story. It was all anime original. And in season 3, they tried to follow up on the manga because they realized, oh shit, we fucked up. Let's just go back to the manga. But you already have an entire season worth of filler, so adapting the manga 1-to-1 was no longer possible. So they had the impossible task to somehow relate everything back to season 2 while also following the manga, while also not fucking up the thing that they did in season 2. Like, what the fuck? One of the biggest fights in the manga, a fight so big it literally changed a drastic change to a character, was cut from season 2, and in season 3 we start with that aftermath of the fight. I think a reboot of Tokyo Ghoul would fix so much stuff, and that the anime could have done better, and just remove that entire season worth of galore. Because I see a lot of fans saying oh, the anime went for a much more shonen approach instead of the morality wise the manga was originally intended, but I don't know, I haven't read the manga. But again, that one season of Tokyo Ghoul, season 2, literally changed everything about that franchise, and they couldn't even go back to the manga, and that's crazy. One season could change everything. And now we get to the most infamous example of a series needing a reboot. Oh, how can I talk about this without punching the fucking camera, okay? This one picture encapsulates everything wrong with season 2, okay? I don't even want to say Promise Neverland's name because that shit got me fucked up. Emma basically meets the god of the entire world in an 8-second slideshow right between the subway shot and them playing chess. The last episode, if you can even call it an episode, was so bad in both animation and storytelling that the writer of the show had to take take their names out in the last 2 episodes. And I still don't understand this, because season 1 of the anime was regarded as a masterpiece of mystery and tension, and I'm sure everyone was excited for what season 2 can bring us. But what we got instead was the most disappointing anime of all time. Let's put in this perspective, okay? Season 1 adapted 37 chapters into 12 episodes. Season 2, on the other hand, adapted 144 chapters into 11 episodes. And one of those episodes was a recap of the first season, and the final episode was a PowerPoint presentation. Episode 1 to 4 followed the manga really well, but episode 5 to 11 tried to adapt over 150 chapters into 6 episodes. Which demon possessed them to sabotage this series? They skipped over 60 chapters worth of content, skipped the best arc in the series, and for what? For what? Even if you were an anime only viewer, which some people were, it was really bad. They tried to steal the information that was built up in the manga for over 50 chapters and condensed it into 1 episode. Whoever was making Promised Neverland Season 2 at the time clearly did not have any respect for the source material. And again, I would be okay if, they tried to do their own thing, maybe, not adapt the manga's ending and just adapt, something else. Maybe Emma gets super suits or something, and then they destroy the demons or something like that. I would prefer if they go a different way, but instead they followed the manga while actually skipping this part. This entire build-up just skipped to the conclusion, and now they have to build everything that happened on these few arcs, which is really stupid. What happened? What happened? But that's the end of the video. If I had to pick which anime will actually get a reboot first, honestly it's between Tokyo Ghoul and Claymore. But I think Tokyo Ghoul takes the cake. It's the most sold manga among the 5. The manga sold over 47 million copies, and almost all of its problem just comes from the anime adaptation. If Spider-Man can get 1 reboot every 3 years, why can't Tokyo Ghoul get 7 in 2 years? Subscribe, support more creators like me. I love you guys. Real one, say back.